Fear Not, Episode 73. Hi, I'm Billy Atwell, and I believe that consistently facing your fears is the only way to realize your truest self and to make those confident choices that will help you to obtain your deepest held hopes and dreams. I have faith that this podcast series will show you that you are not alone, that it will strengthen you and give you courage to face your fears, and that it will help you to permanently cross over into a life of living beyond your fears. Join me on this journey as we listen and learn from others as they share their experiences in facing and overcoming their own fears. Hello, everybody. Today, you and I are going to be joined by Christy Rutherford. Hey, Christy, how are you today?
I'm fantastic, Billy. How are you?
I'm doing pretty great myself, thank you. Are you ready to fear not today?
Absolutely.
Christy is the president of Live Up Leadership, a leadership development and training company. She's also a certified executive leadership coach and assists companies with creating cultures of high performance. Christy served over 16 years as an active duty Coast Guard officer and is the 13th African American woman to receive the rank of 05 in the Coast Guard's 245-plus year history. A Harvard Business School graduate in the Program for Leadership Development, Christy also has an MBA and certification in executive leadership coaching from Georgetown University. Among her many professional accomplishments, her national recognition includes the Coast Guard Dorothy Stratton Leadership Award, Cambridge Who's Who's Among Executives and Professionals, Career Communications STEM Technology All-Star, and the Edward R. Williams Award for Excellence in Diversity. A speaker and best-selling author, Christy recently released 5 books, including Shackled to Success, Heal Your Brokenness, and Manifest Your Dreams. Christy, can you take a few moments to fill in the gaps and maybe also give us an additional brief glimpse of your personal life?
Absolutely. I was a high-profile, high-achieving workaholic. And, as you could tell from my bio, I love success, high achievement, and excellence. That's just what I do. That's normal. And leadership is what I love. So being able to now apply that into what I do in my own business has been great. And the gap is I spent 16 years in the military. And if you know anything about the federal government, I only had 3.5 years left to retire. So I actually did 16.5 years. And so I left. I pretty much worked. And at a certain point, I burned myself out and I resigned. And that's what we're here to talk about today. Some of the fear that goes around with leaving what you know, leaving everything you've achieved, walking away from a six-figure career. But personally, I'm a daughter, and I enjoy now spending more time with my family, which is something that I didn't do in my career. But for the most part, I'm awesome. I love people. I love talking to people. I love connecting with people. And my gift is getting people to see a greater version of themselves. So
That sounds great, and thank you so much for sharing. Christy, would you also share with us that biggest fear that you've had to face and overcome?
yeah, the biggest fear was when I got to the point in my career where I was highly successful and I had everything according to society. I had the money, I had the cars, I lived on a golf course, and I had all these things. I had expensive artwork, Peter Lick, and all these things, but I wasn't happy. And I had done everything that people in society tell you to do, that you should be happy once you get these things and you achieve these goals, or you get this award, or you get this degree. So I had done everything that people and society tells you, that whenever you achieve these things, you'll be happy. And I still wasn't happy. And I worked for it, but I got to a certain point where I just wanted to leave. I had tapped out. And is it rational? Absolutely not. To walk away at 16.5 years, with nothing. And I did it. And so that was my fear. The fear is you're stepping into the unknown. You're stepping into a new world. You don't have the credibility or the reputation, or will it be okay? Will you be able to sustain yourself economically? Will you be able to recoup that income, and will it be okay? And so you have to put all your chips on you, right? I bet all my chips on Christy. And I jumped off a cliff into the darkness. I hit a couple rocks on the way down. I fell into the ocean, swallowed half the ocean, but I eventually but I eventually recovered, and really what it was a higher calling and a higher being calling me to step into my destiny. And we all have that opportunity at a certain point, whether you're going to answer the call, ignore the call, or just suppress the call. And I answered the call and did the unthinkable, and it was the absolute best and greatest decision I ever made in my life.
So, what did you do to answer the call as opposed to not? I mean, it sounds to me like you knew that it was something you're supposed to do. So, what helped you get over that, to take that leap of faith?
A bad boss.
Okay.
A terrible, terrible, crazy, crazed man. But really, what it was, looking back, right? I mean, it was a lot of stuff that goes into leaving and walking away from a six-figure career, and he gave me the courage to do what I wouldn't have done, and that was leave. And when I look back, probably about 6 to 7 months later, as I look back at the situation, and then I started to understand the law of attraction, right? The law of attraction works whether or not you know it works. And as I started to understand the law of attraction and think about the life that I wanted and the life that I desired and the life that I imagined when I was at work on Friday night at 11 o'clock at night, thinking to myself, you're a loser, or whenever I got into a tough situation at work, I would sit back and I would lean in my chair and think about and visualize this life that I wanted when I retired. Well, I was actually activating the law of attraction to create that life now. So as I looked in hindsight, probably about 8 months later, as I started to look at the situation from that standpoint, I was then living the life that I imagined. So the circumstances and the situations surrounding me getting there, it's true, but not really. I created that situation. So I forgave everyone. I forgave the story. I forgave how I thought it all trickled down and happened and the tragedy and all these things that people from the outside see. But I understand that I created that situation. I got what I wanted. So will you mourn and suffer from what you created, or will you celebrate the courage to do what you meant to do and then build your life upon that? Now, knowing that the law of attraction works and using it to your advantage.
So, is this how you approach all your fears?
For the most part, I do a lot of work, and I've learned that it takes just as much work to be miserable as it does to be happy. So I've read a lot of books. I've invested a lot of money into seminars and workshops and programs and camps and all these things. But James Allen talks about it in The Man Thinketh. Earl Nightingale talks about it in The Straightest Secret, and it's you become what you think about. And James Allen says more gold has been mined from the minds of men than any gold mine in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's about learning about the law of sowing and reaping, karma, and all these other things. And I liken my mind to a garden. So fear comes from starving out or having weed seeds in your mind and not mining what you allow into your experience and into your world. So I do a lot of work around not talking to negative people. I don't watch television or anything negative or murder mysteries or the news. I don't listen to the radio. I don't listen to anything negative. So I stand guard at my mind at all times. And if there's something negative that's going to come or occur, or if I'm talking to someone and they're talking about a negative conversation, I'll either change the subject or I'll walk away. Because
Yeah.
I stand guard at my mind at all times. So I think the fear part comes into what we not minding our minds and start to turn over some of the, and I hope I'm not going too wide on this, but not again liken your mind to a garden and not allowing negative weed seeds to be planted in your mind. So that's pretty much what I do. And now planting good seeds of reading books, watching videos, listening to people who have the results that I want. So that's a constant. It's now my normal, but it had to be a conscious thing that I had to build over a couple-year period.
Yeah, I was just about to ask because it sounds we had very similar paths about the same sort of studying and even the concept of being a gardener and pulling that
Mhm.
weed, which you would do if you had a real garden. You wouldn't let it
Mhm.
grow. And so you said it took a couple years for you personally to sort of get into that habit and to sort of shift your mindset.
It did. It's one of the things that Neville Goddard said. Neville Goddard said, and I wish I would have got this quote, but he said, if you're honest with yourself, you'll look within yourself and you'll see a monster and someone that you don't like, an eternal monster. Tame that monster and you can change it into a being of love, right?
Hmm.
So it's about having that negative voices in your head and acknowledging, yes, I have someone negative talking to me. And where is that negativity stemming from? Well, it's from the past, previous experiences, relationships, what people have said, what you've heard, what you've listened to, what you're continually exposed to. So it takes time to now change all of those things and then start to see the effects of what you've done, right? Planting the new seeds and starving out the old. And it takes a conscious effort to do it until you become consciously incompetent or is unconsciously competent, right? So as until it becomes your normal, you have to start to consciously do those things, consciously changing the subject when someone's talking negative, consciously changing the radio when something negative comes on. Or I was in the car with my friend the other day, and the rap music is interesting today. So I said, hey, can you change the channel? I mean, because I'm in this car, or if I'm at a doctor's office, I'll either put earbuds in, or I'll ask him, can you change the channel? I don't want to watch this, or I'll go outside. So it's about making those conscious decisions to guard your mind, to guard your thoughts, and ensure that you again plant weed seeds into it. And that's the root of fear. And the fear is the things that those negative seeds that are starting to crop up and feed your mind with negativity.
I know that you mentioned the James Allen book, which is a really great book. Could you also share maybe a few other books that have really made a difference in your journey?
Absolutely. My favorite book of all time. I've recommended this book to over 600 people. If I'm at the airport, no matter where I'm at, I talk about this book. And it's Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. Outwitting the Devil is one of the greatest books of all time. Have you ever heard of Outwitting the Devil?
No, I mean I've heard. I mean Napoleon Hill, yes, but I haven't actually heard of that book.
Yeah, they published it in 2012. Napoleon Hill wrote it in 1938, 1990, 1938, 1939, and they didn't publish it until 2012. And the information is still relevant to today. It's so good. You have to listen to it. It's the audiobook. So the audiobook it's an experience. It's theatrical. So it's Napoleon Hill having a conversation with the devil. So that's my favorite book of all time. I've listened to Outwin the Devil. I've actually met and manifested the opportunity to meet Mr. Don Green, who's the CEO of the Napoleon Hill Foundation, and get a picture with the original manuscript of that book. So that's one of my favorite books. Think and Grow Rich is one of my favorite books. The Strangest Secret is the audio with Earl Nightingale. It's 30 minutes. I bought the iTunes version, but they also have it on YouTube. But I like to get stuff ethically. And I've listened to that probably 6,000 times over and over and over again. The Magic of Believing, Psycho Cybernetics, anything with Les Brown, Jim Rome, and T.D. Jakes. I listen to a lot of audios and information.
That's great. Yeah, our libraries sound almost similar. That's really cool. Kirsty, are you ready for the speed run?
Absolutely.
What person, whether they be fiction or real, has made the most impact on your life?
Oprah.
And if you could instantly change one thing in the world, what's that change going to be?
I would change how people view themselves and understand that the only way to create real change in the world is to change yourself. And once you change yourself, everything outside of you will change.
What's your biggest weakness?
I would say it's ice cream. My biggest weakness would be learning to slow down and talk slower, which is what was highlighted by some of my coaches at Harvard Business School. So listening and pausing is my greatest weakness.
What's your biggest strength?
My greatest strength is, again, my gift is to be able to see someone and see the potential that they have within them and then work to bring that person out of them.
If you could only have one book to read, what book is that going to be?
The Science of Getting Rich.
And do you have a favorite sound?
Silence.
Christy, if someone would like to connect with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
The best way to connect is through my website, or they can email me, but through my website, www.christyrutherford.com, or they can send me an email at liveupleadership@gmail.com.
And what parting advice would you like to leave with us today?
I would like to leave people with the idea that they can become anything that they imagine. They can be anything that they want to be as long as they're willing to take action, take the risk, and also learn from other people, and to know that failure only exists in your mind. And if you understand that everyone who's ever achieved anything great has failed greatly and mightily, but you never hear about it, then you'll know that failure isn't the end to anything that you want to achieve. Everybody has the opportunity to be great. It just takes grit, it takes attitude, and it takes just that relentless attitude to do whatever it takes to become whoever you were meant to be.
That's really great advice. And I also want to let everyone know, too, that Christy has generously donated a copy of her book, Manifest Your Dreams, to be given away. So if you would like an opportunity to win that book, visit the giveaways page at livingbeyondyourfears.com and submit your free entry forms today. The contest lasts only 7 days, and there's multiple ways for you to enter, so do it today. And Christy, I really want to thank you so much for coming on the show. This was great talking to you today, and thank you so much for your time and your knowledge.
Great. Billy, thanks so much for inviting me. I hope that your audience got something out of some of the things that I said. But again, I love inspiring people. I love just to be an example of what's possible if you're willing to live the life that you truly desire. And I think that everybody deserves happiness. Everybody wants happiness. They deserve it, but it's something that you have to go get and not expect for someone to give it to you. You got to go take your happiness. It's so awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you for joining me today. And remember, you cannot achieve everything, but you do have the God-given ability to achieve anything. So stay focused, out of fear, and keep on keeping on. Until next time, be well and peaceful. For more information on today's episode and guest, or for resources that will assist you in overcoming your fears, visit livingbeyondyourfears.com. And don't forget to subscribe to this podcast, where 3 times a week we move to a life beyond our fears.